Turning now to some big news for our CBS family. Listen to this.
I've decided to sign for one more year on the show, and that this will be my last year hosting The Late Late Show.
From late-night royalty to one of the most controversial figures in entertainment, James Corden's career has taken a shocking turn. Once adored for his charm and humor, he's now facing a wave of backlash that has fans, insiders, and even Hollywood elites questioning how things went so wrong. And this wasn't just one incident. This was a series of missteps, scandals, and controversies that brought his reputation crashing down. Was it his behavior behind the scenes? A series of bad decisions, or something even deeper? But how does someone go from being a beloved TV host and global sensation to losing almost everything? Today, we're diving into the rise, fall, and possible end of James Corden's career. Before the controversies, James Corden was a shining star. His beginnings weren't glamorous. He started with small roles in TV shows and theater productions in the UK. But everything changed with Gavin and Stacey. The sitcom, which James co-wrote and starred in, became a cultural phenomenon, making him a household name in Britain. Building on that success, James set his sights on Hollywood. His big break came in 2015 when he took over as the host of The Late Late Show. Many were skeptical at first.
It isn't true. I remember leaving. I left a perfectly good tip. I left, yeah, I did. I left $10.
Why would an unknown British actor take over one of America's coveted late-night slots? But James quickly won people over with his unique approach. And then came Carpool Karaoke. What started as a fun segment featuring celebrities singing in a car turned into a global sensation. It wasn't just hilarious, it was groundbreaking. Adele's episode alone racked up millions of views within hours, and James was suddenly everywhere. Award shows, viral videos, and even the Grammy stage. At his peak, James wasn't just a late-night host, he was a pop culture icon. He was charming, quick-witted, and seemed genuinely fun. Fans adored him. Celebrities loved working with him, and Hollywood couldn't get enough. But as the saying goes, the brighter the star, the darker the shadow. Quick interruption. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in entertainment. It would mean the world to me. For years, James Corden seemed unstoppable. But behind the scenes, cracks in his carefully crafted public image were starting to show. The first signs of trouble came from whispers in the industry.
I love you. I love you very, very much. I do. I do.
Can I just say that, as a friend, I'm so incredibly proud of you for everything you've done. I know.
Rumors that James wasn't as friendly as he appeared on screen. Stories began circulating about his alleged diva behavior. Crew members, former co-stars, and event staff started speaking out, claiming James could be rude, demanding, and downright difficult to work with. One story that gained traction involved James reportedly yelling at a production assistant for bringing him the wrong snack during a shoot. And then there was the now infamous comedian interview, where a fellow entertainer described James as the rudest celebrity they'd ever met. While these stories were initially brushed off as hearsay, they began to paint a different picture of the man millions thought they knew. Fans started questioning if James's bubbly, charming persona was just that, a persona. And while these early rumors didn't immediately derail his career, they planted a seed of doubt that would grow over time. But the real trouble was just around the corner, as one viral incident would take these whispers and turn them into a full-blown media storm. In 2022, James Corden's reputation took a massive hit when he became the center of a public scandal that no one could ignore.
When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets.
The incident happened at Balthazar, an upscale restaurant in New York City, where James reportedly berated the staff over a mistake with his wife's order. The restaurant's owner, Keith McNally, didn't hold back. In a now viral Instagram post, he called James the most abusive customer his staff had ever dealt with. McNally claimed that James had yelled at servers, demanding free drinks and threatening to leave bad reviews over what was described as a minor issue. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Social media exploded, with fans and critics alike condemning James for his alleged behavior. Memes, tweets, and think pieces flooded the internet, turning what could have been a small misunderstanding into a PR disaster. To make matters worse, James's initial response didn't help. He dismissed the incident, calling it blown out of proportion. But as the story continued to gain traction, He issued a public apology, admitting he had been ungracious and promising to do better. For many, though, the damage was already done. What once seemed like isolated rumors of bad behavior now felt like part of a bigger pattern. And while some fans were willing to forgive, others started to turn away for good.
The police are saying it's too...
James Corden confronted airport staff after his flight was forced to make an emergency landing. He was seen venting his frustration when his flight from Faro to London was forced to land in Lisbon due to a technical fault, leaving passengers stranded on the tarmac for more than 3 hours.
But here's the thing. This was only the beginning. What came next would make it even harder for James to recover. After the restaurant scandal, James Corden's reputation continued to unravel. But this time, the backlash wasn't just from fans. Hollywood, the very industry that had embraced him as one of its own, began to distance itself. Reports started surfacing about James being blacklisted by certain directors and producers. Allegations of difficult behavior on set became more frequent, with insiders describing him as demanding and unprofessional. Rumors even swirled about an awkward fallout with Adele over a carpool karaoke segment, with sources claiming the singer found James's attitude exhausting. Major projects that could have revitalized his career quietly disappeared. James was reportedly in talks for several big-budget films and TV roles, but those deals never materialized. Insiders hinted that his reputation for being difficult had made him a risk many were unwilling to take.
I remember when you decided to take doing the show, and watching you do it has been incredibly inspiring to me. On a personal note, you've been a safe space for me always as a friend.
Even among his peers, James's standing seemed to falter. High-profile celebrities who had once praised him were noticeably silent, and there were no public displays of support during his controversies. For someone who had built his career on charm and relationships, this turning point was devastating. But the biggest blow to James's career came in 2023, when his most significant connection to Hollywood abruptly ended. In April 2023, James Corden stepped down as the host of The Late Late Show, a decision that many speculated wasn't entirely his own. Officially, James claimed he wanted to spend more time with his family and explore new opportunities. But behind the scenes, the reality seemed much harsher. Ratings for The Late Late Show had been steadily declining in its final years. Viewers seemed to tire of James's hosting style, and even viral hits like Carpool Karaoke couldn't regain the momentum the show once had. Some insiders suggested that CBS executives were looking for a fresh start, and James's controversies made the decision to end his tenure an easy one. The show's finale, while emotional, felt like a quiet conclusion to an era. Unlike other late-night hosts who left with widespread adoration and tributes,
James Corden was on top of the world, and then he lost everything. He had it all: Emmys, viral videos, celebrity friends, and a multi-million-dollar talk show. But behind the smiles and carpool songs, something darker was building.
James's departure was met with mixed reactions. Fans reminisced about his earlier success, but many couldn't forget the scandals that had tarnished his legacy. For James, the end of The Late Late Show marked a pivotal moment. It wasn't just the loss of a job, it was the loss of a platform, one that had kept him in the spotlight and at the center of Hollywood's social circle. Without the show, James was left to rebuild his career. But what came next would prove just how much his public image had changed. After stepping down from The Late Late Show, James Corden attempted to stage a comeback. But instead of recapturing the magic of his earlier success, his efforts fell flat. One of his biggest attempts was a Netflix special, a mix of stand-up comedy and storytelling. It was meant to remind fans of James's humor and charm, but the response was lukewarm at best. Critics called the performance uninspired and out of touch, with many pointing out that his once refreshing humor now felt forced and outdated. James also tried returning to acting, taking on roles in a few smaller projects. However, his performances were met with harsh reviews. One critic described his acting as over the top, while another bluntly stated,
I'm so happy for you, and I'm really, really proud of you, and I love you.
I love you so much. Thank you for saying that.
Corden's presence overshadows every character he plays. Public perception didn't help either. By this point, James's name had become synonymous with controversy, and audiences were less willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Even projects that weren't directly tied to him, like The Prom and Cinderella, faced backlash simply for including him in their cast. It wasn't just the audience that had turned away. Industry insiders seemed hesitant to work with him as well. Rumors emerged that his team was struggling to secure high-profile projects, leaving James with fewer opportunities to rebuild his career. And as his professional struggles mounted, whispers of personal challenges began to surface. As James's career faltered, so did his finances. Reports suggested that canceled endorsement deals and lost opportunities were beginning to take a toll. Once known for his luxurious lifestyle, James allegedly started downsizing, selling off properties and cutting back on expenses. Insiders speculated that his move back to the UK wasn't just about reconnecting with family, but also a way to escape the costly pressures of Hollywood. While James has never publicly addressed these rumors, the timing of his relocation raised eyebrows. Beyond the financial strain, the controversies and public backlash seemed to be taking a toll on James personally. Friends of the star hinted that the constant scrutiny had left him isolated and emotionally drained.
And I'm selfishly very excited that you're coming home, because I'm in but
While James has always maintained a cheerful public persona, those close to him suggested that he was struggling to cope with the fallout from his tarnished reputation. His family life, once a cornerstone of his public image, also came under the spotlight. Critics questioned how the scandals had affected his wife and children, with some speculating that the relentless negativity surrounding James's name might have impacted their lives as well. With his career and personal life seemingly on shaky ground, the question remains, can James Corden turn things around? Or has Hollywood and the public truly moved on? James Corden's fall from grace is a cautionary tale of how quickly things can unravel in Hollywood. From his meteoric rise as a beloved comedian and late-night host to his dramatic downfall fueled by scandals, alleged behavior, and failed attempts at redemption, James's story is one of the most shocking in recent memory. But is this truly the end for him? While his career seems to be at a standstill, Hollywood has always been a place of reinvention. Some stars have come back from even worse controversies, rebuilding their image and careers through humility, hard work, and a willingness to change. The question is, can James do the same? It's clear that public perception has shifted, and the charm that once made him a household name may no longer be enough. If James hopes to recover, it won't just take a new project or a fresh start. It will require genuine change, both in how he's perceived professionally and how he handles himself personally. For now, the industry seems to have moved on, but as we've seen before, comebacks are never impossible. Whether James Corden can rewrite his story, or if this marks the end of his career as we knew it, remains to be seen.